We now pretty much have confirmation of who's made it into the Berserker Bowl Championships for Kengan Omega. I'm just going to quickly go over who I think is going to win considering this lineup, and maybe do a ranking of weakest to strongest based on my predictions. So of course, Leonardo Silva was able to acquire those dubs. If he faces Cosmo in the first round, of course, as I've been saying, I think Cosmo will win. Then we have Rito versus Mark Myers, who has finessed himself into the championships due to both Kim and the Monk needing to forfeit the tournament due to injuries from their fight. That's a big L. I was very excited to see what Kim would do. We didn't even get to really see his fight with the Monk, so that's unfortunate. But as expected, Rito will absolutely stomp him. Then of course we have Koga, who was the winner of his pool. And then surprisingly Adam, I personally didn't expect this. He was able to defeat Himuro and he didn't get to fight Kono due to him retiring in the tournament. He kind of got lucky that Himuro was so injured from his fight against Haruo, but yeah, Adam was quite beastly, very cool. If these two fight, it's going to be a very tough fight as they've been training with one another for a few years within the story at this point. Of course, I do think Koga is going to be the winner, but definitely going to be a very interesting and crazy fight. The winner for Block G was Saw Pang, absolutely rolled Falcon. Don't know who, thought Falcon was going to win, wouldn't be me or something like that. But yeah, Saw Pang seems to be in peak condition, top form, definitely very dangerous. But if he's fighting Garuki in the first round of the championships, he could be in for a lot of trouble. Garuki now has the Koi style techniques. He's in like killer mode but not killing his opponents, so he's in pretty much peak as well. However, Saw Pang was part of the original Annihilation tournament. He has seen Blink and Rakashash's palm, meaning he should be able to work it out once, seeing it once if it's not too late. I think these two, if they do fight like this, is going to be a absolutely crazy fight, but I am going to give it to Garuki. And then we'll have Cosmo vs Rito. Another crazy fight I'm very excited for. But of course, giving it to Cosmo, super high diff. Rito is definitely going to get a lot of love during this fight, but I think Cosmo's got it. Also, something else to mention, during Cosmo's fights in his Pool B, he still hasn't used any of his grappling from what we've seen so far, so he's still just striking. Most likely going to pull out grappling against Leonardo Silva, who's pretty much used submissions on all of his opponents so far. Then the fated match of Koga vs Garuki. So this one I'm not 100% sure about. Of course, Garuki I think should be stronger as a whole, but due to him fighting Koga, his pretty much best friend, he may not go all out and get maybe mentally nerfed more so than what he has in any other fights, as Garuki seems to be quite crazy and brutal right now. But if he's fighting Koga, that may change something with him and he may not be able to go in that killer mode, which may result in Koga actually winning. Regardless, I think it will be a tough fight, but for the narrative to be pushed forward and to pretty much set up Garuki for the future of the story, I think he's going to lose against Koga here. But super high diff of course, and then Cosmo vs Koga for the final. I think Cosmo is going to win. So that's my prediction regarding that lineup. Of course, it could be in a completely different way. But if I had to rank the fighters from weakest to strongest, Garuki could potentially be the strongest depending on certain factors. But strongest, of course, going to be Cosmo. Then Garuki as a whole. Probably Rito and Saw Pang around there. Maybe these guys like there. It's gonna be hard to see. Like, maybe something like that. These guys very close. Maybe something like that. Like, yeah, it's very hard to say. A lot of these guys will be very close, so very cool. Except for, Mark Myers. He's, a little bit below these other guys. Kind of fodder for Rito in the first round. But yeah, that's my predictions for that. Now moving on to the main video. Of course, if you haven't subscribed to the Mysterious Weeb channel, make sure you do so. I provide fighting manga content as the main thing I cover here. So if you like Kengan, consider hitting that subscribe button. So Falcon was kinda smoked by Saw Pang here. Low diff by Sword Pang, it seems like. It kind of looks like he hit him with a jab or some type of strike. Maybe it's a possibility over the recent time skip Sword Pang has done some training with the likes of Gao Lang. That could be pretty cool. But the likes of Oma talks about how Sword Pang is in peak condition, how he might be even unstoppable now. So Sword Pang has potential to win the whole thing. I personally don't think so, but yeah, he was able to absolutely smoke Falcon. So yeah, Sword Pang is very dangerous. Garuki of course was able to advance due to winning his matches. Chiba was able to continue fighting and win another match, but that resulted in them to maybe fighting one another again. And of course, Chiba wasn't about fighting Garuki again and pretty much admitted defeat and he's like, nope, not doing this in this condition. We do see a scene of Chiba and Oma talking, which is fairly interesting. Chiba mentions that he doesn't know how the likes of Oma and Roki are related, but he tells Oma to be careful that Garuki is dangerous. Most likely is more set up for the future fight between Oma and Garuki. Maybe something happens during the match between Garuki and Koga. If that happens where Oma needs to step in, then Garuki ends up fighting Oma or something like that. A lot of crazy stuff could happen, but it seems as though Oma is taking Roki fairly serious, which is personally surprising. Of course, based on what we've seen from both of them, Oma should be much stronger, but again, Garuki kinda a wild card. And I would even say Garuki is potentially like top 3 in the verse when it comes to overall potential. So yeah, definitely watch out for him, especially in his current state, what he's capable of. Oma throughout this chapter is talking to Canada. If you don't know, he didn't participate in the tournament. He was someone I thought would definitely be in there, considering Himuro's there and some other characters who are most likely around his tier back in the Annihilation tournament, but he's not part of it. Oma sparring with him is most likely to work on his foresight / pre-initiative, as Canada can't use pre-initiative, but his foresight is unique to his own. So maybe Oma wants to work on his foresight, as he's already a master of pre-initiative, maybe trying to develop other variations of that, or maybe he just wants a warm-up for something. We don't really know what Oma's been doing over the recent time skips, but maybe he's just been chilling quite a bit, hasn't been training too hard. He could be with the Kure clan village, still living there, training with Ryan or something like that. We have no idea, but we see him training with the Giant Killer. Next chapter will most likely have the Berserker Ball Championships actually starting, where we'll most likely get full dedicated chapters to all the fights, rather than this, quick few panels where we get to see the end of the fights. I'm fairly excited. Adam looked very sick in the final panel here, carrying on the will as a legend and going to, win for the likes of Himuro, who pretty much went balls deep for both of these fights, giving it all, but once again has been done quite dirty, which is unfortunate. A very short chapter, which is pretty much a common trend for Kengan at this point. But that's really everything I wanted to talk about. Let me know your thoughts on the chapter down below as well. Check out the other stuff in the description. Shout out to the mad lads who support the channel via the Patreon. But that's pretty much everything, guys. Peace.